Da, da, da,
Oh.
da, da, da.
Oh,
Jeez.
you'll have to excuse my voice, everyone. I've not been well this week.
Yeah, Maggie's not been too well, have you?
I just
In-
caught a bad cold, sore throat.
In June? Of all
I
times, can you
know.
believe it?
Like the worst possible timing as well.
It's mad. It's like the end of May. Like, yeah.
No idea where it came from, but
I always thought like that kind of stuff was unheard of, but you had been working quite hard and you probably were just run down, you know.
maybe.
I know, but it's good. You're getting back to full fitness.
Yeah.
You're going back to the gym. You know,
Yeah,
that's
back
all
at the
good
gym
stuff.
today, which feels really good.
Yeah.
But still just taking it easy. Like I don't want to. Like I'm crediting the fact that I'm bouncing back quickly as the fact that I spent all day on Saturday on the couch watching SpongeBob, and I didn't do anything. Like,
Yeah.
but that's so. I mean, I've not done that in a long time.
And
like,
how did it feel? Being like on the couch for a few days, like being out of it, you know, taking naps.
Yeah, I mean, I took a nap on the Saturday watching SpongeBob. Like,
Yeah.
it felt. I don't know. There was a lot of things going on. I was feeling obviously ill, so you know, I'm feeling a bit fatigued. My throat is really sore, so I'm not really able to eat or drink a whole lot apart from just loads of water. My nose is really blocked. The sinuses are like very sore and blocked and stuff. So I was feeling that. I was feeling happy with myself that I decided to have a day of rest properly, because I think that people think, oh yeah, like, one person's idea of rest is probably very different to another person's idea of rest. Like, you know, when someone's like, oh, like, what do you do? Like, oh, not much. Well, I cleaned the whole flat. I went out and did all this. I got all this. I got this work done. I went here and did that. And they were like, you think that's like not much? It's like, that's probably a lot. So, and then I was feeling like I'd missed a market on the day, so I was feeling quite...
You missed 2 this week, didn't you?
I missed 2, yeah. I missed one on Saturday and one on Sunday. So I was feeling... And I've never done that before. I've actually never not gone to a market through illness before.
In like 3 years?
It's 3
2 or
years.
3 years?
Over 3 years, actually.
Yeah, that's big.
I know. So it felt very weird. I was like, I should be at a market right now, and I'm just sat here. So I was feeling a bit... like guilty in myself for missing it. Obviously you pay for the stall to be there, you don't get that money back, so you're already down, and then also you're not even there to make any money. You just it's like, you know, some markets you never know. And the ones that I missed as well were ones that I was really looking forward to, because they're not my regular ones. They're like one of them I don't get accepted onto quite a lot, and one of them don't do them that regularly, so it's like you just feel like it's the worst timing.
I know.
But yeah.
And I get that, and it's like, you know, because you were working really hard, you would up all throughout the week, you were in your room, you were doing stuff, you were making stuff quite intensely, and you'd come off the back of a big 4-day weekender at Urban Outfitters.
I had.
So then you only had like a few days, and then, you know, it sucks because it's like you probably started to feel bad, and then you were like, right, let's just power through. Let's just keep going, because
that's literally Friday. Friday I just pushed through all day, even though I was feeling awful.
But then you did push through, and then you woke up on the Saturday, and it's like, look, mate, my body clearly, and we've talked about this this week. It's like you would have been silly to push through for that, because what were you trying to prove? Like the only thing that you would have got out of that is like, okay, you'll go to the market, you might make some money, and that's it. And the sake that you can turn around and be like, yeah, well, I did it, and it's like, yeah, well, that's kind of that whole. Then it starts getting a bit toxic. I know,
it's funny though, isn't it? Because most of the time I am trying to push through anything, like
always, yeah.
So then it's difficult when you're faced with something that actually you probably shouldn't push through this, and it's like a constant trying to find that soft spot, that sweet spot of like you're pushing yourself, but you're also like not taking the piss with your own health. Or it's so tough though, like.
But it's different when your body's working.
Yeah, I was saying someone else though might be like, oh, if I've got a sore throat, like I'm turning up to a market, or I'm turning up to work because I have to, like it's just in me, and I'm like, oh, should I have done that? Like, should I have just gone and been ill there? And it's
that's what I mean. What good does that do?
Well, it's like you say as well, like how you do one thing is how you do another. Like if you think, oh yeah, I'm feeling pretty unwell. I'm not going to turn up to this market. And it's like, no, well, you might feel unwell and not do that. And it's like,
well, it's nuanced, isn't it? Because
so nuanced.
if you said to yourself like, I want to go for a run today,
yeah,
and you say, yeah, are you physically,
fit and
are you
healthy?
all right? And it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong. It's like, yeah, go for a run. And then it's like, okay, look, I'm feeling a bit under the weather today and I should go for a run. Okay, you're feeling a bit under the weather. Is it doable? Like, are you crippled? Like, is it really bad where like you know your own body and this is bad? And it's like, no, it's not like that. I feel a bit rough. And it's like, okay, well, just go and do a slow run.
See how
just
you
go
feel.
and do a really slow run and just get yourself out there. Don't push it, but do something. But then the flip side of what we're talking about you is it's like, I've not missed a market in 3 years. So you've got nothing to prove.
Yeah.
This is the one instance within that 3 years where you're like, I am slowly getting, I can feel it coming on, and I'm slowly getting worse and worse to the point where you're not sleeping because you can't breathe.
I was literally not sleeping. I was sat at my desk in like body pain because I was sat upright at my desk with my nose plugged full of tissues to just like keep working through it and stuff. And I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. I was on a mad one.
No, because it's commendable because you're like, look, I'm feeling bad right now and I'm choosing not to lean. I'm choosing to be like, look, I'm feeling a certain way. I'm going to power through with the stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
But then, and lack of sleep is a big one. If you're used to getting 8 solid hours, if you get 4 broken hours or 6 broken hours,
so true.
You're really going to feel it. So then it's like the stupid thing to do now would be for you to try and apply that mindset and be like, well, how I do one thing is how I do everything else.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, my body is clearly suffering.
Yeah.
And if I go and push this for reasons that aren't really important,
no, you're so right.
then I'm just going to I'm jeopardizing my health even more
so
and my
right,
body.
yeah.
Like, why would I do that?
It's like you're a human being, and like you're not, as much as you do every day to like keep yourself well, power through challenges, like push yourself. It's like you aren't invincible. Like there are things there that will like hurt you, and your body will feel a certain way, even if you feel in your best health, you know, something can just happen and you're like, God, like, you know, it's like being humbled by your own immune system of like but you know, so just the guilt of like being sat at home when I should be out earning money and growing my business and stuff is pretty tough. And you made a good point though. You said the other day, you were like, isn't that amazing though that you have built this thing for yourself that you feel bad about missing? Like some people will have jobs, and if they're ill, they're probably like, it sucks that they're ill, but also
it's like score
calling sick to work.
At the same time, it's like, no, because I remember being in a job where I was sick and I'd be scared to call up and be like,
so true. I've had that so many times.
That toxic thing if they're going to be like, what's the matter with you?
The panic of them quizzing you over the phone of like everything that's wrong with you, and then they're like, all right, well, bring a doctor's note in, and it's like, well, I've just got a cold. Can
you be in tomorrow? Can you be in this afternoon? It's like, no, I'm ill, but the fact that you're pushing me on this is making me feel really uncomfortable.
So true.
So there's none of that, and that's something that you've got to be really grateful for.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And the guilt that I feel, it's like, right, you can't do anything now about the markets you've missed or those things that might have passed you by through like no fault of your own, like literally no fault of your own. Nothing about me has affected the situation. Like, if I'd have been out all night on a bender and then woke up with a hangover and not made it, it's like, well, you definitely deserve that.
That goes without saying,
but you know, I can fuel that now into like, right, well, what are you doing now that you're feeling better to not like make up for that, but you know, just keep moving forward with it. And
well, nothing will make you more grateful for having having good health than when it's jeopardized.
So true.
And sometimes I kind of, you know, there's especially when it's like you had like what felt like a bad cold and you were run down quite bad.
Yeah.
And we all know what that's like. It's like you're on the couch, you feel crap. It's like, I can't do this. Like, I just got no energy. I feel my body's compromised, and you just want to be like, yeah, well, you know what, like, you know, lean into just like letting the body rest for a bit, you know. And especially for someone like you who's very go-getter, it's very day to day. It's like, I've got to go and Charlie hustle, I've got to make this work, you know. So it's good to lean into that, and then when you start feeling like the body's coming back around, it's like, yeah, great, thank God that it's not like that all the time. Like, thank God I have that ability.
Yeah, Because when you lie, I'm lying there in bed, like propped up on all my pillows, tissues up my nose, breathing through my mouth, and it hurts because my mouth's so dry. And I remember staring out the window, and there was a seagull, like, on the roof of the, like, building adjacent to us, just literally staring in. And I was staring at it, and I was like, you don't know what this is like, man. Like, right now, just, I wish I could go to sleep so much, but I'm in so much, like, discomfort. And I'm so tired, but I just can't get off to sleep. And it's like, God, I couldn't deal with this. Like, I'm so lucky that this is, like, gonna pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. I feel I'm really surprised that I didn't get sick.
Yeah, well, you teetered on the edge, didn't you? You had a little mini day with me on the couch. I
did genuinely throw my back out. I hadn't done any, which is, anyone that's done that will know how painful it is. Like, I'd done, I had all week I was just doing my own thing, and then on Friday I had like 2 gigs back to back, which was always hard. That's always hard to do.
Yeah.
And then at the gig, I threw it out at the gig, and I was like,
Could you feel it as soon as you'd done it?
I felt like something at like 40%, and I was like, that's definitely something. It's not enough for me to be like, I'm gonna keel over. But then, like, got home that night, was bad. Slept on it, that was bad. Woke up the next day on the Saturday, and that was your, like, worst day.
It was.
And I was like, okay, I was supposed to go for a run. I went for a walk instead and did like a long walk, but then all day it was bad. And then when I got home, maybe it was this thing of like the placebo thing, or maybe I was sort of feeling your
like empath situation.
But I did have a bad back, so I was like, my back's hurting. Meg's on the couch sick. I was like, am I doing that with my head? Like,
you started to feel a bit of a scratch in your throat and stuff.
And I had like 2 gigs that night, and I was like, and I cancelled the gigs because my back was bad, and I was like, look, what are you doing? Like, your back's bad. This doesn't happen all the time. To walk is painful. To bend is painful. I've got to go and sit now for 4 hours and play. And I was just like, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to do it. And it was good for me to take some time. And,
definitely, yeah.
And now it feels pretty good. It's probably like 90% back to normal now, which is good.
That's good. It was so funny though when you were like to me, you were like, baby, look, you don't want to do these markets, don't do them. I've got us, like, if you're worried about the money, like, don't worry, this is why I work, this is why I go to all these gigs, is to, like, make you feel supported and stuff. And then I remember I had a little nap on the couch, like, mid SpongeBob, like, season 7 or something.
Yeah.
And then, like, I came round and you were, like, still next to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I was asleep for. It's probably only, like, 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
Was it about 20
it wasn't
minutes?
long, yeah.
And then you were like, yeah, I'm not going to my gigs. And I remember being like, I wasn't like, oh God, like, we're both going to miss out on so much money today. But because I was obviously just concerned about you, but it made me giggle. And I was thinking, like, no, this is why I should go to the markets so that you can not miss, so that you can miss gigs and be at home.
That's common though, that if one of us gets sick, I mean, it's a coincidence that I threw my back out and you got sick and I seem to be okay, but a lot of the time when you get sick, one of us, the other person will be sick as well.
Usually.
So, but it's one of them, it's like, look, like, we work intensely day to day, so that, as do lots of people, so then when moments like this happen, it's like, look, it's one day.
Yeah.
Sure, it's 2 gigs, but it's 2 gigs that you'll make up for, and it's
so
2 markets
true.
you'll make up for. Like,
so true.
Your health is always comes first in that situation.
Yeah.
And it was nice because for me, like, with the gigs as well, I messaged the managers and I was like, look, I can't do it. I'm not doing too good. And they were both pretty chill. They were just like, hey, look, you're sick. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it's cool.
That's nice.
And that's nice because a lot of the time I've had this thing before. I've said, like, look, I'm not well. I'm not good. I can't do it. And it's like, oh, it's there's this thing of like, it's last minute, like, well, who are we going to get in? And it's like, well, look, I understand it's always that thing that makes me laugh. It's like, yeah, I understand why this would be problematic for you.
Yeah.
Do you think for a minute though that I would chuck away the money that you're going to pay me?
So true.
Who's more inconvenienced here in that
so true.
But it's find it interesting that in the music line of work, a lot of the time, or not in this situation, but it's always venues or people that they look out for the venue themselves.
Yeah.
And it's not like, well, are you all right? What are you doing? So it was nice. I mean, how are you doing?
No, yeah, so true. Yeah, I got
so it
the
was
same
nice
thing
to be,
from the...
That's great.
I mean, one place I messaged I texted like their number that they listed to like get in touch with if you can't make it and stuff, and I never got a response. But
Right.
the Sunday I got a response from the organizer being
That's
like,
good.
oh, like
That's good.
no worries, hope you're okay, get well soon and stuff.
And that always goes such a long way,
does,
because it's
like-
like I really appreciate you seeing the
Yeah.
human side of that situation. Like,
And also, like, when you call in sick at your work, your place of work, like, the manager might be annoyed because then it puts excess work on other members of the team or things like that. But also, like, they're not bothered because you're going to get sick pay.
yeah.
It's like, but then when you or I don't turn up to a job,
Yeah,
they're not
no-
going to
yeah.
be like, oh,
Yeah.
here's the money anyway,
Yeah.
because we have you on that relationship
Yes,
where
yeah.
if you miss it, we give you the money anyway. It's like, that would never happen.
No. And you might be down money if you paid for the market stall fee.
Exactly, you
and-
don't get that back. And
Yeah.
if anything, like, you might not turn up to a gig and you miss out on that money, but I don't turn up to a market and I've
You've lost money.
literally
Yeah.
spent money on
No,
thin
definitely.
air. So
No.
it's
Definitely.
it's the trials and the tribulations.
But the take home being that it's like there are like it's okay to be sick, and it's okay to be like, look, I'm just not with it right now. And as in the context of like, I'm pretty on it all the time. And that what was good for us is it was like I didn't run or go to the gym for a few days when we were back. You didn't go to the gym for a few days because you know.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where, like yesterday, I feel as if that you and I were in a bit of a funk. Like it was we were misreading
Defo
each
weren't
other.
having a good day, were we?
No, we were just miscommunicating, and we were interpreting things differently.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because we'd had a couple of days where we weren't exercising. Yeah, we weren't like getting good sleep. We weren't we just weren't, we weren't meditating, we weren't looking after ourselves. We got
No.
like on the Saturday we got like takeout, which is
Yeah.
fine. That doesn't mean but in the context of, well, look, you've not really gone to the gym, you've not really
Yeah.
earned this, like, what are you
Doesn't feel good.
and it was nice then for today to be like, okay, so we've gone back into that routine, and I already feel my mind feels clearer. I feel like there's so much clarity.
So much
I
better.
feel better.
Literally.
And it's really big, isn't it? You really
Yeah.
go like, Jesus, like, I can't, like, all those things really do take away so much of that noise.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I just feel really lucky that like get to have that. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I know that we spend a lot of this podcast talking about that kind of stuff, but like this isn't news, but seriously, like, go and do that stuff. Go
Yeah.
and meditate, go to the gym or run, put your body
Yeah.
through something hard deliberately, get up when the alarm goes off or set your alarm, and just do it for like a couple of days and see how crazy the effects it has, because it's mental.
So true. Or even, I would say though, that if you were to do that, the first few days would probably feel pretty shit, but it's one of them things that you have to push through, and then after a couple of weeks, I think after like a few months, it
Yeah.
becomes something that's like, I can't imagine going back
Yeah.
to not doing those things anymore. Like, even though I've had like almost a week off the gym,
Yeah.
I've had weeks off from like meditating really like consistently and things like that. It's like, still today we've got up, we've meditated, we've gone to the gym, and it's like, oh yeah, like this is why
Yeah.
we do this,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It feels great.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were in a bit of a funk on Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, yesterday,
Yeah.
But
Was that something that was that one of the three?
one of the three, no, I don't think so. I think we were going to talk about, the thing of like feeling like guilty of not being productive enough, and then we were going to talk about like career changes, which is something that you've been like thinking about, and you've changed a little. You put out that YouTube video recently that about your relationship with music and things that have been happening for you, and just which we don't have to, if you can't be bothered talking about
no,
that,
it's
that's
not.
okay.
I think like I was just conscious that like because I've spoken lightly about this stuff before, loosely, like in between. So it's like I wouldn't want to like just like people are probably like they're familiar with where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like that whole thing though of like, I mean, it's useful to think of things in terms of, I've been part of the music scene for 10 years and now I'm committed to basically pursuing a totally different career path.
It is totally different, yeah.
And it's like, that's like, you know what, so it's like you've been in this scene for 10 years, you've got a pretty good standing in the scene to a degree, in the sense that I can totally make a living off my music avenues of streams of music.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, it's just not for me. Some switch has totally gone off and diverted all this energy down a different route. And well, it's that thing, isn't it? It's like there might be people there that are like, oh, well, like, what, you're just gonna start a new career path or whatever, like, that's, you can't just do that, or like, well, these are all the reasons why that'd be scary. But and it does kind of feel like that. I do feel really out of my depth a little bit, and I feel quite like there's so much to just like, where do you start, kind of thing.
Isn't that like what everyone says,
of
though,
course,
that like
of course.
is the most important thing? Like, if you're, it's better to be the way that you're feeling, but know that it's right, than be, you know, and not luckily, but thankfully, the job that you're in, of being a self-employed like musician, allows you a lot of free time, and you're already kind of in a creative space. Maybe not comedy, but it's creative. It is
just
stuff like that. So even though it is a very different change, you're not, say, quitting a 9-to-5 job in finance to go and pursue a career in like being a full-time ceramicist or something. Like, I guess
it's just like that thing of when I was starting music and I was a kid, I was like, okay, like, you've got to learn how to play your instrument, and then learn, copy other people, then do your own thing, then go and gig, and then see how that develops. And it took 10 years to get to a point where I am now, which is like, and I'm not really like, I'm not signed, I've not got any representation, I couldn't get any representation, so I'm not like this big, if I'm painting myself out like I'm this big fish, I'm really not. I'm just
I don't think you are.
No, but I'm just a guy that is like, you know, I'm a bit of a gig hustler, and I can make gigs happen and stuff, and I can make money from that. But like, in terms of the actual, like, I've not really got anywhere musically. But it's this thing of like, all right, well, look, you really are into your comedy, so what does that look like? Are you gonna write a bunch of sketches? Then where do you take them? Do you book a show? Do you book your own show? Because then you're just back to doing this thing. Do you
even want to do stand up? Is that something you want to do?
Or like sketch, like, say if you rented a theatre and you did like, here's 10 sketches that I put together with people, like, this is what this is gonna look like.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of the same thing. It's like, I've got to find people, like I'm finding a band. Then I've got to find a venue space, like I've got to find a gig space. I've got to sell tickets. Then I've got to I've got to look for promoters. It's like, like, God, it's kind of just like the same thing, but just in a different area. So, and there's a lot of that I don't like. So it's still just trying to refine this thing of like, well, what, I don't quite know what these first couple of steps are, but I guess I'm maybe just so. But it's that thing. It's like those. The same with music. It's just gonna take some time to find that rhythm, and to be like, well, what do you want to make of this? How do you want to sort of get out there and find opportunities? You know, but it's good. I feel as if there's been other moments as well where it's like, so a friend of mine who's recently been signed has been asking me to play bass on some of his stuff, and it's an interesting one, because everyone that I've spoken to is kind of like, you should do it. It's a good opportunity. Any opportunity is good. And I'm like, I get that, and it's, you know, I really like his songs, and I really like the music, and there's a label behind him, so it's like, that's big. But then I'm just sort of like, yeah, but look, it's like you've sort of mentally checked out from that scene, and now you're getting an opportunity on the platter.
It's weird, isn't it?
And
how life does that to you, like.
Do you take it and say, okay, look, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to have a little look at what this looks like.
Dip your foot in a bit.
But then it's like, yeah, but man, like, you've just mentally gone through this big thing of like, you don't, you know, are those your people? By that I mean like not the people I'm playing for. I mean, like, is the music scene, is that community, is that your thing? Is that where you're going to thrive, or is it in this other area that you're trying to pursue? It's
like what we were talking about the other day with that fella who we went to a photo shoot the other day together, which was fun. And we got on with the photographer guy.
Cool guy.
Yeah, we were talking about
should we mention people's names so people can check them out? Like,
I'm sure. I don't know. Like,
what have we got to lose?
Yeah.
They might get some promotion. They might get some cool bit. Like, people might check them.
I mean, it's more your thing, really. He's not my mate. I mean, not that he's not nice. I just mean.
Well, I mean, mate is a bit. You know, like what? Like we've not gone for coffee and dined, but like,
I wouldn't even know what to shout out. You know what I mean? So it's up to you.
I don't see why not. I mean, it gives them the guy that has been signed is a guy called Ike Thomas, who you should definitely listen to. His music's great, really great songs.
Yeah.
And I know the photographer guy. His I think it's, I'm pretty sure it's, I know his name is Dan, but and then that's it. It's Dan Houston, the Fattel, who's on Instagram, and he's great. He's a really cool guy. I met him in the open mic scene, and he's a very talented photographer, and he was a nice guy, and he was doing some photos for us. I was comically getting some headshots, not for acting, but for the premise of like, well, if I want to maybe try and get some auditions for something that might be funny, or if there was like, I wanted to work as part of a group and they were like, do you have any, I have no CV, I have no resume, I have no nothing. So I thought
in terms of resume,
there isn't
we
one.
don't have a resume.
but I will have some cool headshots, which will be funny. So, but yeah, why are we talking about him?
Oh yeah, I was just going to bring up the audition for the new 28 Years Later movie thing that was happening.
Oh yeah, right.
That was like zombie auditions for the new installment of the 28 franchise movies. And I was saying like, yeah, like you should, like, you know, if things like that come up where it's like you might get experience there. Okay, you don't want to be like a professional actor, but for you to be able to have this resume thing, and it's like, oh yeah, you know Mike, he did music for like 10 years and was releasing all of his own stuff.
Yeah.
And then he went and did then he went and like was a zombie in 28 Years Later.
No, I don't think I could.
No, listen, hear me out.
Okay.
He goes and does that. And then it's like, that's such a random like career thing, but each time it's giving you experience of being maybe on a set or being part of a crew. You might have met some other people that it's like, it's kind of like, I get what people mean when they're like, don't say no to the opportunities, because even if it's not exactly what you want, in a way, it's like, you don't know who you'll meet or if it'll provide you some element of like platform for something else. It's like,
I guess you're right, and
I guess I
guess it's all kind of within the same realm.
I'd love to see you as a zombie.
I mean, I really don't think that's like, because that's what I mean. Like,
that's like, it's serious acting, really.
Yeah, and I've done bits of that where like, you know, like going to like drama school auditions. Like when I was a teenager, I did some auditions for some drama schools, and it's like this thing of like, that in itself is funny. Like, you're in this room with people who are supposed, you're in this building that was built 100 years ago, and all the best of the cream of the crop have come through here, and then there's some person at the front saying, now be red. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's like be red, be blue, you know, I want you to pretend that you're an acorn trapped inside a box in the mind of a gorilla. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's just, you know, and look, there's people like that which are like, yeah, great, go and do that, and that's gonna make you be a better actor at being a zombie. And I take my hat off to you that I could never do that. But I think it's the idea of like, I just specifically like the branch of just funny stuff.
Yeah,
like, and I'm not saying it's like, yeah, we don't want to shoot yourself in the foot, but it's that thing of like, you got to spend time doing what you love. And if someone said, right, you've got the zombie job, I'd be like, oh, well, I've got to go show up to this thing and pretend to be a zombie now. That's not fun. Apart from the fact that you'd get a laugh out of it, saying like, "Hey, did you watch 28 Years Later? I was a zombie in that."
Yeah.
But then I feel like I'd just be like, "Oh right, okay, that's cool."
I know what you mean.
Knowing me as well, like, I feel as if that if I did sort of try and dedicate my time to that, like with the music thing, the opportunities that I would get from that, like some of the opportunities I've got over the past 10 years of being a musician, I've been so stupid, and I've taken them going like, hey, opportunity's an opportunity, and then you get there and it's like, this was the biggest mistake.
No, never. It's never a mistake. Anything you've done over the past 10 years with music, it's never ever been a mistake.
There have been some big mistakes.
Even things that you've done that have been like, okay, yeah, interesting.
Why did you do that?
Why did you do that? Or like, but it's all just part of the journey, isn't it? It's all part of the path, and it's all things that you can learn from and look back on. And
experiences, if someone said, that experience you did, I can take all of that away and give you that time back, I'd be like, yeah, do that. that didn't teach. All that taught me was to like always believe my gut instinct. Because when you don't, and I said, oh no, it'd be an opportunity.
What's your gut instinct about this bass playing thing, or do you not want to go into it?
It's a tricky one, because there's more nuance there. My gut instinct is saying don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, look, you're trying to, you want to do comedy stuff. Musically, I don't feel the same thing that I felt when I'm playing music now.
Yeah.
There's questions of commitment, of like, well, if I'm doing gigs here and gigs there, and I'm potentially sacrificing other gigs,
True.
then that's my main source of money. It's not like I have a 9 to 5 and then my evenings are free. So there's a commitment issue of whether or not I can do that. And also, you know, it's to do with like, look, like that interplay of me with these other musicians and me being in that world. It's like, I feel as if, again, there's a lot of me that doesn't feel like it belongs in that world. I feel like I've just moved away from all that serious stuff of like, I don't like the stuff that's tied in with the music scene, like your egos and your little, you know, like the marketing side and the business side and the conflicts and the stuff that you have with that. It's all very like serious and not that creative, you know. And plus, I'd be on bass. That's not my first instrument. I'm a guitar player. I'm not a bass player. That's not to say that all that stuff, like, that's what loads of my gut things are saying. And a lot of the times when I've gone into projects as a guy that's like, I'm just walking into the project as me, I feel like I'm very sure of myself, and I'm very like, I can say like, that's not fair, or I don't agree with that, or I don't agree with this, and a lot of the time it leads to conflict. And that's not because I've got an ego, it's just because I'm 27, I'm a bit old, I might be a bit older than the people in the unit, and I'll be like, no, like, look, I'm not just going to sacrifice all this stuff for, it's got to work for me as it works for, I can't just be a cog, or, you know, and not unless we're all the cog, but that's not always the case. Usually there's always one cog that turns a bit harder than the rest, or whatever,
gets the others going, sort of thing.
There's one, so there's a few things like that which I need to consider. And when I think of making comedy and sketches and stuff like that and putting time into that, I feel like it makes me smiley, and it feels like I get excited about it, and it's like, that's funny.
Well, that's good.
And then I think of this other stuff, and I'm like, the only reason why I'd be doing it is because I'd feel like if I didn't do it, I'd regret it in some way, and I sort of owe it to some part of myself. And I feel very lucky that I've been asked, because that's really nice of Isaac to ask me, and it's the jam was good, and the label seems nice. So
maybe like, it's like that thing of like, you know, if your gut might be telling you one thing, but then it's like, okay, well, it's like, I remember when I got offered that job for doing like social media content for that shop.
Of course, I
remember like getting that and being like, okay, this could be really good, because, you know, at the time I was on the dole as well, so I was still doing my business stuff, but it was straight out of lockdown, so I was still on like universal credit, and I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing, this job's going to get me off that, it's going to be more reliable income. And then I went in for the interview, and then I remember leaving the interview and having like an actual like panic attack, because I was like, something, like, I'm feeling very visceral, like my reaction was quite visceral in my body of like, no, I shouldn't do that, like something the reason that I'm taking this is not all the reasons that I've started my business, and like all the time that I spend growing this other shop's business is time lost on my own. So it's like, you know, the fact that maybe you've not say you have to have a panic attack to know what your gut's telling you, but maybe until there's any contracts and stuff, maybe see how it goes.
I guess, like, you know, but again,
then there's no commitment.
I know I get that, but then it's also like, I don't want to, like, if it gets to the point then where it's like you go through the hassle of learning the set, and you get familiar with the musicians and the label, and then it's like they say, okay, great, so that's looking good, and now we've got like 4 or 5 dates, obviously they're all on the weekend, and then I say, well, I can't do it, and it's like, well, I kind of knew that was coming. That's so true. Why didn't you take that? So I don't know. Fair. It's a funny one.
Interesting.
And there was another thing when I was walking up after we finished the gym at the coffee shop there, that, you know, the one that's on the corner, the Amalia coffee shop. Yeah. There was Alex, you know, Alex who plays keys, Alex, and Johnny from Silver Roller, the band, Meg's boyfriend. Yeah. They were having coffee. A couple of days ago, Johnny had said to me, can you recommend any keys players? I recommended Alex, and then they were having a coffee there talking about them. But, you know, they both, you know, Johnny was making an interesting point about, like, he was talking about how, you know, like they take on jobs that are day jobs. They don't like the day jobs because, but they do it. So then in the evenings they make time for the band, and they make time to gig and tour. And they were having some lineup difficulties, and but it was to do with those kind of commitments. It was like, well, there are some musicians there that get paid to go out and play gigs, pub gigs and stuff, and then, you know,
so why would they give those up to come and rehearse?
why would it's a fair point, because it's like, why? Because if they're making money from that, I'd rather make money from that than work an office job.
True.
But the point, they were taught, you know, they were both engaging with each other, and it was like, but you guys are doing it because you love it. You're happy to sacrifice your days so that you can make money from the job that you're doing there, so that you can go out with your band and do stuff with the band and play and write music and play music. And I was just, and again, it was one of those things where I'm just like, so that's totally not in me. So why would I pursue any of this venture?
That's so true, baby. Yeah.
Whereas if they were like, well, we're doing these jobs so we get together every night, we write sketch comedy and we improv and we film it and we put it up and we try and do shows, I'd be like, I could even consider doing that. Like, that sounds quite fun. Like, so I don't know. I think I've maybe answered my own question there, but it's fun just to talk about it and just to be open about it. Or I could just do a total 180 and I think it'd be really funny to become like some sort of very like a known failed porn star. It's like I've in all my scenes I can't get an erection or anything. Like I've been blacklisted against all of the major sites and stuff. No one will hire me, but I'm still trying to break into the scene.
That could be almost like a kink of someone's, like, or it's you know how people have like a praise kink.
What's that?
Where you really get off on being praised for how good you are at something.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then there's also the opposite of that, where it's like degradation,
which is you get called names
and you're meant to feel degraded and stuff. Maybe your one is like you can't get it up and like you, but like the more people are like, Mike, come on, like we need you wood now, like
I'm trying.
It's just, but if anything, it wouldn't work.
But I feel that's a funny premise in like the idea of like, if you imagine having a show and it's like, what's the premise of the show? Well, it's a guy who's a failed porn actor, and he still tries to show up to auditions and he can't do it. But for some reason, instead of coming to this conclusion that he just can't do it, he just keeps going. It's like the next one, I'll get it. Like, you know,
that is funny. Yeah. Did you just come up with that on the spot?
Yeah, it's on the spot. Yeah, maybe that's my new.
You're a funny guy, Mike. You have got a good ability to create concepts and characters and like piece an idea together.
Thanks, honey. Yeah. Well, it's just that that might not necessarily be that hard to do. I feel like anyone could do that to an extent. Like I feel like, you know, you make characters up and make voices and stuff and do little bits.
I do voices. No, I don't. I'm really not even that funny. Like,
I think you're very funny. Your sense of humor has definitely become, it's over the past couple of months in particular, it feels like you've definitely picked up on my sense of humor more. And
I think so, yeah. With us doing more videos together and stuff, I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
We were in Holland and Barrett yesterday, and in the middle of all of our little tiffs and things like that, we were in Holland and Barrett, and the cashier said that we can get something for free because it was on things that we had. We had a buy one get one free deal that we weren't using. So Mike went over to an aisle and was looking, and you were like, oh, I don't know what to get. And then I just thought it'd be really funny to shout, oh, why don't you get something? Why don't you get something for that thing?
But then Meg did like this. She sort of like did that down below with a hand and sort of did a face as to be like that thing, as if to be like it's a private matter sort of thing. And there was people in the queue and there was the person on the till. And I thought it was really funny.
I actually just think it's so funny though, because like,
it's obviously a joke.
It's obviously it's obviously just a little joke, and also I quite like doing things that are like, you know, like what you said the other day in the shoe shop about Jimmy Savile and stuff, like just saying things.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Let's just quickly.
You've already said it on the podcast. What you said.
Oh, I did.
You've already said,
yeah.
The silly shoe joke.
Yeah.
Obviously just silly things. But it's just like saying things that are like just so stupid and silly in the moment,
it's obviously a joke.
It makes you laugh so much. Yeah. Like, I love making you laugh.
Yeah, I love making you laugh. And that's a good like MO. It's like if I make myself laugh and you laugh, I'm like, oh, that's good. Like what was that? And then I'll try and write it down or jot it down and be like, that was funny. Like I should do something like that.
For sure.
Which is good. Yeah. Did you have a third thing that you wanted to talk about? We got some time.
We've got a little bit of time to round up and finish. What were we going to talk about? Well, I said how to get what you want in bed. I don't know why I said that. I was just thinking of catchy titles. Because I feel like that's such a magazine article title that you'd see in like Cosmopolitan or something like.
What you want in bed.
How to get ahead in bed or something like that. And I just thought that's such a funny, like, silly thing to say. Like,
what is it that?
How to get what you want in bed. Like,
don't we all want the same thing?
Surely the only thing that article needs to say is like ask.
Like, ask what you want.
Thing, like, how to get what you want in bed. Turn to page 28. You turn to page and it's like, how to get what you want in bed? ? And it's like, ask. Like. Or like, I don't know what other things it could say.
Something it's like something as simple, a bit more complicated than that, but that thing of like just making the experience all about the other person while you're in that situation, and then it's like I do that for you and you do that for me.
I get
and you do that for your respective partners and everything.
Yeah,
it's
just
like
cool. It's like how to make yourself happy is to make someone else happy.
Yeah, and if you do if you show that level of attention to someone, then if they love you, they'll give it to you back. So,
yeah. I want to Google how to get what you want in bed and see what comes up there.
You probably probably just a load of magazine talk. It's funny how they've kind of made a big how that's just like you see it for like GQ and Vogue, and is there another one? There's like, have I got those wrong? It's not Vogue, it's like Women's Health.
Yeah, there's Women's Health. Cosmopolitan's probably a bigger one rather than Vogue.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like all these options here. How to ask for what you want in bed according to an expert.
Okay, anything in particular there that's do you suggest?
I mean, there's a lot of content here. I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and there's a lot of things being cited, and games. We love games.
I find it interesting. I was in like when you'll go into shops sometimes and you'll see these like mini, there'll be like mini sex position every day.
Like books
mini
and
Kama
Sutra,
like little kinks that you can do with your partner. It's weird. It's kind of like I guess so, but like I don't know why you're trying to. I don't think there'd be any part of me that would see that book in passing and I'd be like, oh God, let me take a look at this, and then and then you take a look and it's like these positions that are just mental that you just never do, because it's like that's probably not pleasurable for anyone. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of. I don't know. Is that something that we seriously wanted to talk about? How do you get what you want in bed?
I have no idea. No, I don't know. No. But that's just a funny thing to talk about, I think. Just that phrase is quite funny.
Well, if you had to sum it up quickly, what would be something that you would say to that? Like if someone said, look, I don't know, in bed things aren't particularly clicking with me and my partner.
Yeah.
We're on different pages. Can you think of some simple things that you'd recommend to be like, this is where I'd start?
Just get
Here we go. The inside scoop.
Get a big old box of tissues and a big old bag of cream. No, obviously not.
Get a big old box of tissues. Okay, so we've got a box of Kleenex, and then
just looking at tissues over there.
And then a bag of cream. So like.
Don't know where you get a bag.
We've gone back to the 1960s when you had to buy cream in those old little bags.
I know that you can buy cream in bags.
Any kind of cream. Like, you obviously meant hand cream, but like.
No, I meant like whipped cream.
Oh.
Or like pouring cream. No,
right.
Obviously that's the most like hyperbole answer. The opposite of what the answer actually is, which is just ask. Like.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more simple.
Okay, so what?
Saying how to get what you want in bed. Of like.
Okay.
Well, ask your partner what they like, tell them what you like, ask them if it's okay if we do this, can we try this, how do you feel about this?
Here's one.
Go on.
I'm a guy.
Really?
You're my gal.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, there's something in the bedroom I really want to try. It's doesn't matter what it is. You can use use your own imagination. But I'll give you some inspiration with an example.
Okay.
That
squeak.
I can't think of anything. Okay, there's something you want to do in the bedroom. You think it's a little bit taboo-y. It's a bit different. It's not your usual stuff that you'd be doing in there. Then I say to you, hey, I want
to try putting the penis in.
I'd really like to try if we could have sex.
Whoa.
Are you crazy? Yeah, and
too far.
And then because I'm like, yeah, look, it's something that I think it'd be nice for me.
That's all you gotta do.
Okay, but then what do you say?
As the partner?
Yeah.
I answer accordingly as per what my response is. If my response is, yeah, I'd be up for that.
Okay.
There we go. Let's give it a go.
You give it a go.
If my response is, I don't know how I feel about that, then I'll just say, I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I'm happy that you've brought that to the table and asked, because I always want you to feel like you can ask, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure. Or if it's like, straight away I'm feeling a lot of resistance to that.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure I'd be up for trying that, but maybe we could come up with something similar that we could do to ease ourselves in.
Okay, so there'll be some things there that you're like, no. For example, I imagine if it was like someone said, I want to strangle you to the point of you passing out, you'd definitely be like, no, I'm not doing that, because that's jeopardizing my body.
Yeah.
And there's a potential there that I could get hurt, and that's not safe.
I think things with actual real life
violence,
risk or violence involved is yeah. Okay,
but then there's something there that you're like, okay, so like maybe I don't know, like you're not totally vibing with the idea, but you're not like totally just shut off, because it's like there might be some way we can work around
like that. It's like anything. Like if you were like, do you want curry for tea? And I'm like, I really wasn't feeling curry, to be honest, but I appreciate that you fancy it.
Yeah.
And even though I might not want curry, let's think of something to eat that maybe incorporates a bit of curry-esque involvement, or you go and have curry on your own, and I'll
I can't do that.
I'll watch. If you catch my drift.
We should get that on t-shirts. I'll watch you eat curry, but that'll be so specific to this podcast.
A bit too specific.
So that's what I mean. What if it was like, hey, there was something that we did once. You made me carbonara once.
Yeah.
I loved it. Can we have carbonara again? Then you say, we had it that one time.
This has actually been a conversation that we've had many times when I make something for us and then go off.
This is real life food talk. Like, I really want steak at the minute, and Meg's kind of gone off it a bit. So, so there's that heightened level of real talk for you guys. I hope you're enjoying those levels. But then so what happens then? Where so you're like, no, I just don't like carbonara anymore. Tried it once, I didn't like the carbonara, so I don't want carbonara anymore.
I would make it for you and make myself something else.
Okay, I mean, I'm talking about bedroom stuff.
Oh,
I'm
right.
using carbonara as a woman in a relationship with your own body and your own boundaries. How do you navigate that difficulty?
Again, I'd have to be honest, and if it's a firm no, then you have to respect that, because as much as it'd be nice for you to have the thing that you want to do and to do the thing that you want to do, you should surely love me more and respect. The respect level outweighs the idea of like, this would be fun for me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you could flip that, and you could say like, yeah, sure, I do respect you enough to say, well, no, I don't want to. If you don't want to do that, then I respect that.
Yeah.
But then you could make the argument where it's like, well, do you not have the respect for your partner that you would say, look, I'm not like, you know, we're gonna have to talk about potential ways that we can work around. It's not a flat no.
There'd be potential.
It's like, how do you work
for
around that?
maneuvering around it. Yeah, but if it was something that was just black and white.
Because either way, I see what you're saying. It's like either way though. It's like I feel like in specific relationship structures where it's like we've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
You have to. It's like no. You have to. No matter what, how long, you always got to respect your partner.
Totally.
They're their own person. It's not just about you. Yeah. But there are some nuances within that relationship where it's like, well, I feel as if that we
compromise, isn't it? And like, you know, how do you compromise on something that is just what, you know? Again, if you don't want to do it, the compromise there is that you're doing something you don't want to do, which your partner then would be like, well, look, I don't want you to do something you don't want to do. That doesn't make me happy. That doesn't, like, you know, we'll be doing it, and I know you don't like it, so why would I enjoy that anymore? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That sort of comes into it. But
I find that stuff interesting, and I don't think that you know, playing devil's advocate, it's like when because like there are certain things that's like, say when you go to the gym and there's stuff there and it's like having difficult conversations or disciplining yourself with food and being helped, you know, it's like there will be things like that where it's like, no, I don't like doing those things, and I don't like, you know, I don't like it for these reasons and for that reasons, and it's like, well, I understand that, but there are some things that you should do because they're good for you, or they're good for you, that they might seem like they're not easy, but then they're an important part of maintaining your relationship, love languages, etc.
Yeah, so true.
So then it's like,
that's where the nuance comes in, isn't it?
And where do you draw those lines? And where, because for some, again, then it's like, well, in some contexts it's like, no, I don't want to do that. It's like, okay. Yeah. Then in other contexts it's like, I can maybe, you know, and then it's like, go for carbonara, and then in other, you know, so it's, I don't know, it's an interesting one, but it's something that even I find you and I, it's a constant.
It is a constant. I think it should be evolution constant with anybody. Like, you should always be addressing these things, and maybe that's something we could open up to any listeners that are still with us. Like, how do you
who have not passed away?
Who've not passed. Maybe you could let us know what your stance is on having boundaries, but then also wanting to, like, please your partner, but wanting to, or just with anything, like, if you don't want to go to the gym, that's an initial response, but you know you'll feel better afterwards. So there's an example there where it's like, you should sort of not listen to yourself, you should do it because it's good for you and you'll feel better afterwards. But then if it's like, if I don't want to do that in bed, am I going to feel better afterwards because I've done it just to please you? Like, you know what I mean? I don't think it quite works the same, but I think there's some interesting crossover there of compromise and of and taking yourself out of it and thinking, I want you to feel fulfilled. I want your partner to feel fulfilled, but you also have to have some integrity of yourself and like, you know, what you like and what you don't like and how that should be listened to. And it's an interesting one, but
it is an interesting one because I feel like it's just a constant. There are some things like with gym going, and it's like you should always move the body. It's like, okay, look, if you've got like a really debilitating disease like arthritis, and it's like, well, you should look at that, and there are certain nuances where it's like, obviously don't go and do that then, but like a lot of the time it's like a general rule, get sunlight, get early morning sun, all that, 8 hours of sleep. But then in this situation, it's like, it feels like there are a lot of crossovers and grey areas that would be interesting to discuss. I'd love to.
Yeah, I'd love to hear people's opinions on that.
Definitely.
Because I think some people might be like, no, you should never do anything you don't want to do.
Definitely,
That sounds like where I am at.
Yeah.
I would say to anybody, like, don't do something you don't want to do. But then also, I'm like, in so many areas of your life, you should do the thing that you don't want to do.
Right, and
but just not, like, in a sexual context, because I don't think that would ever really, like, go anywhere healthy. I think it's maybe an unhealthy thing to do something you don't want to do because someone else wants you to do it.
But
again, we've been in a relationship for so long, and like, there might be things that one of us doesn't want to do that then now we do, or things like that. I'm not saying anything. I don't know. It's just an interesting one.
I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Good.
No, exactly, and that is like, because you could make that argument. You could be like, well, look, if when we're talking specifically about our relationship and things that happen within the confines of our bedroom or within our sexual intimacy, there have been times where maybe we've both, more so you, have been like, no, I'm not, I'm not, I don't want to do that for a certain reason. And then we'll have talks about it. We'll discuss it openly throughout the course of our 10-year relationship. And then it'll move into an area where it's like, well, let's just, do you want to give that a go and see how you feel? And then it becomes part of oh no, it's not just something that then we do to fulfill one of our needs. It actually becomes part of the, and that has the potential to sound like, oh well, one of us just coerces the other one into doing something.
No.
But
and that's where the nuance will be.
That's
where it needs to be communication and equal like parts.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like that goes for a lot of things outside of the bedroom, like literally with food and stuff. We could be like, can we have a day where we just have, it's no meat, and it's like, okay, let's. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't usually do that, but I wouldn't do that.
But yeah, so let us know your thoughts about that or anything that we've talked about today.
Yeah, definitely.
For Real Talks, and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I wish we could do more of these where we've got a nice announcement. We've got a little announcement coming this week. A little cool thing that we're going to share with y'all. And yeah, we definitely need to look at more funding to see if we can get more equipment so we can get some people in on the poddy. That's in the pipeline.
We've got so many things. We've got so many things that we want to do. And it's just trying to find the best time and way and place and how and what to get them all done. But we still really enjoy doing this every week, and we hope that people get something out of it, you know. So let us know what you thought, and have a good old rest of your week.
Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.